Tax policy, does a budget resolution have to include higher taxes on high income earners?
Does it have to?
Must it? Should, in your
No.
judgment, should taxes be raised on high earners?
No, I don't think we should disadvantage anybody. I think in a comprehensive tax reform, we have to certainly get rid of some of the loopholes and have a fairer tax system. But to just automatically tax wealthy people because they've done better, I wouldn't support
So
that.
you're in disagreement with the president on that issue?
Again, I'm not here to agree or disagree with the president. What I'm saying, sir, is where I am.
Well, no, I want to know if you're in disagreement or in agreement with the president on the necessity to raise income or raise taxes on high income earners.
What I am for is a tax system that's fair for all. I'm very much in favor of getting rid of the loopholes at the top, which certainly advantage certain high-end persons, but I want to lower the business taxes for sure.
What loopholes?
Offshore things, some of the tax advantages of offshoring your money. There's a whole host of them in the tax laws that are really driven by special interest groups that end up with companies like GE paying no taxes. Seems to me that's unfair when they're using infrastructure just like we are. So I think we need to look at that thoughtfully so that we can generate some more revenue from those areas and be treated fairly. But I'm very much against arbitrarily saying, because you've done well in society, we're going to tax you more. I don't think that's fair. How many times can you go back to that well?
If you were in the U.S. Senate
Yeah.
and the vote was on extending the Bush tax cuts,
Yes.
except for individuals making over $200,000 a year and families making over $250,000 a year, would you vote for or against it?
Well, that's a hypothetical, depending on the situation. What we have to make...
It's hardly a hypothetical.
Getting
The
there.
U.S. Senate has voted on that
The U.S.
numerous
Senate-
times, virtually every year.
I don't want to disadvantage any population. And if what we need to do, let's back up. The issue before us is we're putting another Band-Aid on a broken system when what we really need is comprehensive tax reform. If I have to vote on extending the Bush tax cuts for a year and I get a commitment out of my colleagues that they're willing to come back with something, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and vote for it and get it through. Because the most important thing...
Without extending the Bush tax cuts for those over 200.
We'll just extend them across the board.
That wasn't the question. At the Senate, if the Democrats, if you and your colleagues are successful and you have control of the Senate, there will be a vote that you will face.
Yes.
Very early.
Yes.
In January or February.
Yes.
To extend the Bush tax cuts.
Yes.
Except for those individuals making over $200,000, families making $250,000.
It really depends on where that line... Okay.
That would be the line.
Okay. My goal would be to protect the poor and middle class as best I could. If it couldn't get it through, and that may happen, then I'm going to vote to go Bush tax cuts all the way through.
But that's not the vote you're going to be presented.
How do you know? Well, you're presenting a hypothetical. How do you know that?
So you're not going to answer the question.
I answered the question. I would prefer to protect the middle class and the poor people. And if I had to pay more as one of those high earners to get this thing through, I'm happy to do it. But if there's a stalemate and we can't get it through, let's let it go through. But let's get a commitment out of the Senate to finally solve the problem and stop kicking the can down the road.
I hate to confess it, but I still don't know whether you'd vote yes or no on such a bill.
You're putting me into a corner on a hypothetical, and I don't know what the specific situations are. What I'm telling you is, if the bill comes up, and the bill is, we're going to protect the poor and the middle class, and over 500,000 or 400,000, those people will not have those Bush tax cuts, I'm okay with that. However, if that's the trade-off I have to do to get it through, I will vote for it to get the Bush tax cuts put forward for everybody. That's how I would approach it. I can't be any clearer than that, okay? Because somebody like me who's been a high-wage earner, it's okay, I'll kick in a little bit more money for this period of time. But I don't want to disadvantage those who are going to be disadvantaged most, all right? So my guess is I may have to compromise, because that's what Congress is all about, and say, let's just get it through. But guys, let's make sure we solve this problem this time and stop coming back to the well and kicking the can down the road.
I'm pretty sure that I've got an understanding of what your position is on that. But just for absolute clarity's sake, that you just said that you would, in that scenario, support a bill that would raise taxes on high-income earners over the threshold that's been described. Is that correct?
No. Boy, here's what I said. I was given a hypothetical,
Yes.
would I support the Bush tax cuts, either
For high-income earners, as defined. We know what that is.
as defined, whatever we draw that line, 300, 400, 500, 250, whatever it happens to be, okay? So my goal is to ensure that we protect the people who are going to be hurt the most out of it, and if and I would do that. Now, if I have to, as a bargaining chip, buy into it, yes, let's do it. But what I want is the commitment to solve this.
Let's do what?
Let's go ahead and approve the Bush tax cuts for all, right across the board, everybody. Everybody gets the benefit.
So you would not support a proposal in the Senate to raise taxes on those high-income earners? You would not support that, am I correct?
Yes, if that's what I needed to do to get consensus and get it through
oppose that.
in order to protect the lower class, middle class people who I think would be hurt the most because they're going to have to pay taxes and it could drive us into a deeper recession, yes, I would do that. Okay? What I'm saying is that for a high-income earner like me, if the bargain was we're going to just protect the middle and the lower class and those of us at the higher earners paid now, okay, that's fine. But my guess is we're going to have to do it all as one. And if that's the case, I'm happy to go ahead and approve the Bush tax cuts for all, including the high wage earners. But I want to extract from my colleagues the commitment that we won't be back here next year doing the same thing, that we absolutely want to fix this problem.